another episode of Love and Marriage. I am your host, Lionel Nelson. But first of all, we welcome you to A Father's Note. I am
Yes.
your host, Lionel Nelson, and to my left is
His co-host, his side. Okay, listen, people.
uh-huh.
This is the only time I will be considered a side chick.
No.
Okay. But I am his co-host.
Yeah. Hey, we have been having some amazing
Of
interviews.
course we have.
I tell you, we had the Williams on last week, and
Yes.
um, uh, man, it was funny, but it was true, it was real,
Hmm.
and it was full of so much information.
So much.
Yeah. So, but we have another. Before we go into that, though, we do have
Got to
some
get the
presentations. Yeah,
preliminaries.
we got to get the preliminaries out of the way, and due to the fact that we do here on the show talk about our relationships,
Mhm.
over the past two or 3 months now, we have a couple of books that we have been promoting. Uh, the first is The Diary of a Virtuous Wife. This is a book that my mother wrote, and it tells how to live with infidelity and when doing it God's way. Uh, and she wrote inside the book she wrote, it said it was 1969 when my husband confessed that he committed infidelity. Words could not begin to express the amount of hurt and brokenness I felt at that moment. For my husband of 13 years to reveal he committed adultery was one thing, but to conceive two children with the same woman was the ultimate betrayal. I asked myself, how could I endure the strain he placed on our marriage and family? How could I accept this betrayal of my love and trust? I had a decision to make where his acts I had a decision to make where his acts grounds for divorce, without a doubt. But instead, I chose to take my marriage to God. Of course, it was not easy, but I made up my mind that I would stay in the marriage and handle it God's way. And I am glad that I did. God gave me the strength to stand and the power to endure, the heart to forgive, and the compassion to love. And until the transition of my father, my parents had spent 70 years together,
Wow.
4 dating and 66 married.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. You don't
Yep.
hear about those type of loves much
No,
today.
no. Everybody, the minute that something happens, people want to jump and run. And
The very minute.
yep, whether or not it's marriage is lasting 70 minutes, 70 days, or whatever, they don't want to
Mhm.
stay, with the sign of trouble. But one of the things that we have definitely be coming to realize and see that all of our couples have definitely stressed how important work is toward
Mhm.
the marriage, toward the relationship.
Yes.
So yeah. But we have that's what so we have that book available. You can reach us here on the show. Also, we have another book here. And you can tell them about this book, babe. Let's see. Yeah, there you go.
Yes, it's entitled Just Between Us Girls. It's by a very close and dear friend of ours, a sister of mine, Mrs. Dominique Dumerville. And I just want to read just a small caption from one of the chapters. And this chapter is entitled Maintaining the Fire. And I thought it was fitting since we're talking about love and marriage. And this says, keep the fire burning, never let it go out.
Mhm.
Nurture and protect your marriage. Surround yourself with people who love and support you. Don't be afraid to reach out to anointed married couples for advice and support. I love how she said anointed married couples. That's who you run to. You don't run to your single friend. Come, ladies, you might be frustrated and all of that. You don't run to your single friends for advice because you know what they're going to tell you.
Yep.
They're going to tell you to up and leave.
Yep. And then they'll move right in behind you.
Oh, come on, sir. come on. But you all, listen, you need to get this book. This book, both of these books, these are tools that's been placed in our hand to help us save our marriage, ignite the fire, rekindle that fire in our marriage. I mean, it's right here.
Yep.
It's right here.
You know,
and
like
it's available.
You know, like one of the things that we often say, you know, our marriage is not perfect, but we make it perfect.
Correct.
Because it's something that we work at.
It's perfect for us.
It's perfect for us. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. God, hey, you know, God had a lot to do with that. I didn't have nothing to do with that this time. You know, maybe the other times, but God had a lot to do with that this time.
Yes.
So, but I'm grateful. So, but anyway, without any further ado, I think it's time to bring on our guest for tonight.
Yes,
What you say?
I think so too.
All right, let's do this. We want to welcome to A Father's Note, our Love and Marriage series, none other than Mr. David and Kara. Should I say to Lisa?
Technically, it's my first name.
Lisa Chiverton.
Kara.
Kara. Okay, Kara Lisa Chiverton. So we welcome you. Let me see here. What happened to the names? Let me get these names up here. Yeah. Okay.
Well, welcome.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having us.
And hey, listen, man, I always say this, it's always a pleasure for me to be in your presence, my brother. I tell you, it's always a pleasure, you know. Hey, but before we get into, let's talk about them, right? So, you know, I've known this young man for the majority of his life.
Wow.
And, you know, it has been a pleasure. It has definitely been a pleasure watching him grow up and, you know, navigate through life, mature into the man he is. You know, even with a lot of the challenges that he had faced, you know, around his life, especially, you know, his parents. But, you know, man, I am so proud of this gentleman here.
Me too.
I can't thank him enough for being in my life. Every time I see him, I just smile. I just stick my chest out a little bit. You know what?
So you had a little bit to do with that, huh?
Yeah.
A lot of bit to do with that.
You know, I don't often say much, but I always have an eye on him. So, because you know, just making sure that you know he's good. He's good. But have you seen this picture, Kara?
I think so. There's another one that's pretty similar to that, but I don't know if it's the same exact one.
I think you gave me. Well, I always got to tell that story when we do anything about you giving me letter grades. You giving me letter grades for every performance. I think you gave me a C that night. So I remember that photo.
Yeah, we you know, I think you were about 4 years old here on this picture, and you know, it's amazing how you even started. I share the story all the time. You know, he got on the set when our drummer didn't show up, and what caught me is that when we was in rehearsal, he got on the set because how we had started with him, we would let him do the first song, and then we'll let the original drummer, our main drummer, get on the set. So this night the drummer didn't come, but what caught my attention was that, you know, he knew all the intros, he knew the outros, and what have you on the songs that we were doing. And from there, I told his mother, I said, hey, listen, this is the drummer for the Miracle Lights, you know, and it's been going from there. But here he is today.
Yes, sir. Wow.
That's the man.
Wow.
Man.
That's amazing.
So we're going to get into the question I want to ask you, Kara. Am I pronouncing it right? Is it Kara?
Kara. Yeah.
Kara. Or like carrot. But Kara. Okay. Yeah. I apologize for, you know, I struggle with names at times, you know.
You're good.
But I know we might be putting the cart before the horse, but I want to ask this question. Uh, how do you handle his career, his musicality, and how in depth that he is as a musician?
Um, I guess for me, especially when we were dating, I had to realize it was more than just a career, it's his purpose. And being that it's his purpose, I knew it was going to come with a lot of sacrifices.
Okay.
I knew it was going to come with a lot of making sure that I enable him and I push him and I make sure that I'm grounding him to continue doing what his purpose is. He doesn't just do it because it pays, he does it because he loves it, and that's what he's called to do. So at times it is hard. We're learning to balance because sometimes he can be gone a lot,
Mhm.
but I try to, I guess, busy myself in a sense and be understanding. But I guess for me, like I said before, really realizing this is David's purpose. He
Mhm.
doesn't want to be away from home. He doesn't want to leave me. He doesn't want to leave Roman. But I also understand that this is what he's called to do. And when he gets the blessing and the manifestation of it, it overflows to the family. So I have to just kind of release
Mhm.
and allow his purpose to be what it is because it was happening before I even came into the picture.
Right.
Mhm.
So
Right.
I had to learn how to adjust to that.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay, so thank you for sharing that. Because we're gonna come back to that. We're
Okay.
gonna come back to that because there's some things that you said that really caught my attention and very vitally important. But what you got to ask them? You got a question for him, sweetie?
I do. I just want you all to tell the listening audience, how did this relationship, how did this love story begin?
Um, it's kind of it's an interesting story because she and I became great friends. And interesting enough, I was actually engaged when she and I met early on. Yeah, many years prior to us actually becoming friends. And so when I met her, it was just God bless you, and just kept it moving. And then over the years, I believe you reached out to me, right?
Yeah, so I think like 3 or 4 years later
Later.
after seeing him and meeting him,
And engagement had,
of course,
was
yes,
over.
of
And
course.
Okay. Okay.
I reached out,
So you didn't do no bump,
she did it.
yeah.
And then I was so tunnel vision when it pertained to that. So I met her and kept going. But like she said, maybe a couple years later, once
Mhm.
everything had, I guess she got the inside scoop that yeah, that's how she tried to say. She got the inside scoop. And, yeah, well, you take it from there.
Yeah, then I guess like the young people say, I slid into the DMs and but it's good because he was not interested in that manner at all, which was good because I believe that if we rushed into anything after him coming out of that long-term relationship, I don't think we would have been here. So
Wow.
we were friends for almost 4 years. Yeah, I had to wait 4 years before he would even see me in that light. And I say it like that because in my heart, I'm like, I know this is the man for me. But
Right.
my mom always told me, you don't want to force a man into a relationship,
Mhm.
then you might have to force him out of it. So I
Wow.
did not want to
Good
force him
advice.
into I didn't want to force him into the relationship. So I allowed him time to heal and I allowed myself time to grow up because I needed to do a lot of growing up. And in that time, he was the one like, yeah, you got to get this together and that together. So what, 2015?
Yep.
2015 is when he finally decided, hey.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is, like, I, like she said, coming out of the engagement, I was just I was pretty broken for a couple years. So I just didn't see myself getting back into anything. And the fact that our relationship, in terms of our friendship, had become so great and so amazing. And, I just didn't want to, you know how it is when you have somebody that's just a great person They don't want anything from you. But they genuinely just want to be there and love you and care for you. I felt that with her, and I felt for a long time that even considering a relationship was gonna mess that up, and not realizing it was actually, God was actually leading me to her, and it wasn't until God pulled the blinders off my eyes, like this, the one thing you've been asking for, you've been desiring for so many years, it's been right there in front of you the whole time.
Wow.
So once God allowed things to kind of open up in that direction, that's when things just started taking off. And you lived in Nashville at the time.
Mhm.
So we were long distance for what, a
Yeah,
year?
long distance friendship that entire time.
Well, long distance friendship.
So
yeah.
between that friendship, we had seen each other maybe 3-4 times.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then
That's how we knew it was genuine. It was really truly like a spiritual connection, and then for the first year of our date, and I was still in Nashville, and then I moved back in 2015.
Yeah. So it was definitely, you started to see God kind of position things, and I really started to hush and say, okay, God, if you place these things in order, then all right, this is how we gonna move. So yep. And now we're sitting here, thank God.
Awesome. That is awesome.
So you was in a friendship
Mhm.
for 4 years,
Mhm.
and then in between that time, you had only seen each other for 3, maybe 4 times.
Yeah.
But when you were talking, though, David, about the state of mind in which that you were in,
Mhm.
and because I was going to ask what role or how much of a role did Kara play in that, um, as far as getting you to keeping you sane, whether or not how engaged. Because then the other question to that is that sometimes when you find someone that you connect to, there's a tendency to want to pull you into a relationship.
Right.
What did you do in order to sustain it for so long that it would not become a relationship? Because she could have, in whatever capacity, been a what do you call it, a springboard or a bounce back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Rebound. Yeah.
Yeah.
But but like I was saying before, I feel like to a certain extent, there was a certain, I don't know how to explain it to where it makes sense, but there was literally a wall that was there, and I felt like it stayed there for a certain amount of time. And I believe that was, although it was a wall, it was a part of the healing process.
Understand.
It allowed me to see her and not just see what she could do for me. It allowed me to see also, a relationship that existed without any incentives. You know what I mean? Like,
Wow, that's good.
Us just being like, her just texting me, hey, how's your tour going? Oh man, what happened? Oh man, that's crazy. Like, just things like that. And she's like, okay, cool. You going on tour? Well, maybe I'll talk to you in a couple of days. I hope it goes well.
Right.
Just things like that where, it was just a really crazy time. And then, as you said, going through a lot of the things I went through, losing my mom, losing a whole bunch of family. Like, I was just in a crazy place, emotionally and mentally. So having that person I could really confide in and just be there for me, it was just non-existent at that time. And she came in, and again, because I was just like, what do you want, type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I was kind of keeping my distance.
Right.
The more I did that, the more she would kind of penetrate that wall and say, no, I don't need anything. Yeah, I love you. She would make it clear that she really cares and loves me.
Right.
It wasn't like, hey, this has to happen right now. She's just like, no, I just want to make sure you're okay.
So she became actually a true friend to you.
Absolutely, 100%.
Or anything else beyond that.
You hear stories about that stuff all the time, but that's what it was. she cared. Of course, in hindsight, she tells me how many years she loved me and all these different things. But it's amazing. And I would say, kudos to her, because even in that, she waited. She's like, yeah, I'm just going. And the cool thing is, if we're going to be transparent, like, we still had friends or we dated, like she dated people, I dated people, and we would have like conversations about these different experiences. So I really saw the real authentic friendship in what we had. Like I'm like, man, okay. It's not like she's sitting there waiting on me and
Right.
but
Wow.
eventually we saw all these experiences kind of come to the same place
Mhm.
with each other where we're just like, what are we really looking for? And it's literally been right here in our faces, the friendship and the I don't know, the strategic like path of God for both of our lives was literally starting to line up, and we both just like, yeah, what are we doing? You're the person I want. You're the person I love. And yeah. So if that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can jump in whenever. I know I'm real fast.
Oh, you're
but
good.
okay. Um, I want to say this because it seems that once you left that first engagement, I think your mind was set on, listen, I'm just going to trust God to walk me through this process. So you did not, as I stated, rebound to someone else to fill that void, that pain that you was hurting, that you had on the inside.
Yeah.
You say, you know what, look, let me just put this before God. I have this over here, that over here, and I'm just going to let God walk me through this here. You didn't do like I did, man. Okay, forget you. Let me go on over here. Yeah, you're interested in me, right? Okay, let's do this thing. I did that, and I just made a complete blunder.
Right.
But I think what he did was he actually worked on himself. He allowed
that's a great
God.
point.
He
That's a
allowed
great
God
point.
to do what he had to do for him or
Yeah.
to him before, looking
Man, that's a great
towards
point.
her.
That's a great point, babe.
Mhm.
No, that and it may be different, but our story is similar. I mean, because we were right there in the church for 20 years. I never looked at her. I never saw her
Mhm.
in that light, But then, like with me, when I was done, out of my last marriage, I was done. I was like, you know what? I'm done with relationships. I don't want anybody. And then, our friendship had began to build.
Mhm.
And it had became so connected, man. I was rebuking the devil and everything.
Running.
I was running. I mean, I had met her at Dennis just to try to tell her, wherever it was, hey, listen, I want you to know I am not interested in you.
Listen. Listen, we going to Sizzler and we gonna do some shit. I don't even know Sizzler around anymore. Let's go to Shoney's. So but seriously, the same thing where I'm just like, listen, you're beautiful. Like, bro, I don't want any of that. And the more I did that, the more she was just like, yeah, I just want to know you good. We can talk next month if you want. We don't have to talk to each other. Hey, just making sure you're okay. And the more I saw that, I'm like, that's kind of a tough thing for me sometimes to see kind of the end game or to see someone's intentions. I can be very, standoffish until I know exactly what's going on.
Right.
And really that was the thing with her. Like she just continued to just hammer away at that wall. Like, man, okay. She's still here, after all these years and my quirks and things she knows that I'm going through or I'm dealing with. She's still right there, making sure that I'm okay.
That's good. That's good.
So, Kara, how did he propose?
Oh man, you don't know the story? Okay, I'm gonna let them tell. I'm gonna let them tell this one here. This was good. Because actually, I reminded myself of it when it happened. So, because let's go lay it on us.
So I'll start by saying, always on my bucket list was to travel to Japan. Of all the countries, it was always Japan. And I just never knew how I was going to ever get to Japan and what I was going to do there. Lo and behold, he has a gig in Japan. He travels to Japan quite a bit during that time. And he just said to me, hey, I'm going to Japan. Wouldn't it be cool if you came along this time?
Wow.
In all transparency, I'm like, okay, it needs to happen here. This would be the perfect place. And then my friends are just like, simmer down. And my mom said, because if it doesn't, you're not going to enjoy the trip. So
Correct.
focus on the trip. You're getting to go to Japan, a place you've always wanted to be. And what was it? The 11th? Your mom's birthday.
Yeah.
So on his mom's birthday, he was really, really quiet. And I didn't think too much of it. I just thought, he's just remembering that she's no longer here. He's missing her. And we all, as his band and everybody, decided to just take a walk. So I didn't think it was going to happen because the whole band's there.
Right.
So, okay, we're walking. It's beautiful. And we go up to the Tokyo Tower. How far up was it?
It was high.
So we go to the Tokyo Tower, which
Overlooks
Tokyo.
Yeah.
And long story short, that's where he did it. He did it in Japan at the Tokyo Tower, on the Tokyo Tower.
Yeah.
How romantic.
Yeah. I'm like, wow, that's okay. Hey,
She said I was quiet that day because I was trying not to freak out. Look, I'm trying to make sure I got the ring in my pocket. I'm like, you all right? Okay. Look, I'm tucking it in my shirt. I'm trying to while we walking down the street, I'm holding it tight to make sure it don't fall. Man, I didn't know. I'm like, oh Lord, I said, yes, Jesus. I hope we can get up to it.
He says that he hoped I say yes. I had the conversations with him.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I always tell him, to each his own. But if you're in a relationship and you propose and the girl says no, you guys weren't talking about it.
Wow.
She wasn't giving you hints.
Mhm.
So you took it upon yourself to propose, and she said no.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
I was sending him rings.
Yeah.
What I be saying no. See, I always go, I don't know if you would have said yes. I
Well,
sent you
even
rings.
that, like I had to design the ring. I'm like, Lord Jesus, did I get the right ring size? It was too small. It was, Lord Jesus, please don't let it rain while we walking. Like all these different things were going through my head, but it was such an amazing time, an amazing moment that I honestly feel like is just a great thing in our history together that we could share with now our son.
Mhm.
We could tell him like we actually went to the Tokyo Tower and I proposed to you, and I have it on video, which is awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
I should have prepared that. Wow. I didn't.
Oh
Yeah. But now, so you had a 4-year friendship,
Mhm.
and so you started courting.
Mhm.
How long was your courtship?
2 years.
Yeah, something like 2
Yeah.
months, yeah, something like
Yeah,
that.
2. Mhm.
And how long have you been married now?
3 years, right?
Married. Yeah.
What? We got married 19,
Oh yeah.
right before. Sorry, the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marriage was the pandemic, so we don't count 2020, but what we do. But yeah, so it would be 3 years. Yeah,
Okay.
Years.
You all do marriage counseling?
absolutely, we did. Well,
Did
we
we, or are we
said did
doing
we or are we doing it now? You're saying
Did
which
you do
one?
it before?
Oh yeah, we did for
married.
sure.
Yeah.
Ooh man, they ripped us to shreds.
That's good.
You learned things about yourself and each other that you didn't know.
Mhm.
You didn't know in those first 4, 5, 6 years that you have been courting and in a relationship.
Right.
Yeah, it was so good because there were just a lot of things, and it was a very transitional time for myself.
Mhm.
In terms of just how life was moving and the trajectory of my career, music, everything, and it was imperative that I knew how to walk into this marriage as a leader, as a future father, as a partner, and to also see her for who she is as my partner and not just my wife or or the mother of my child. It did a number on us. It was great, and I'm so glad that we took that step to make sure we did it before we got married, because a lot of people don't. Some people think they don't need it.
So you would recommend counseling to anyone before marriage?
100%.
I would recommend it before and after.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay.
That's
We
good.
did post. We
Yeah.
did,
Mm,
because it's really no joke when they say that first year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then because of pandemic, it was like the first 2.
yeah.
And we definitely needed to do post. We recommend it throughout.
Mhm.
definitely to get counseling, to speak to someone. And like what you were reading in the book earlier, an anointed couple with advice.
Yes.
Yeah. So you kept bringing him up. So let's see if we can get him on here. Yeah.
That's Roman.
Good little man.
Yeah. I just got I'm working on it, because if he's gonna be a musician, he's gonna have to be a dual musician.
Oh man, it's interesting because I already see it, and he keeps saying that because he keeps saying drumsticks.
Right.
He's like,
Yeah.
he keeps saying it. But yeah, he loves music. That's one of the biggest gifts I've seen with him in general. He just loves music. He loves everything about
To
music. So
sing and dance.
yeah. So it's
Oh, really?
yeah. Oh man, he loves everything. Like his routine in the mornings is he listens to worship every morning. So now he's singing along with worship, and then now he has his learning videos and things like that. So yeah, he's totally immersed in music. So I love that. And he's singing a lot. So we love that. I want him to do whatever he wants to do, you know.
Right. That's good. That's good.
How old is he?
He's 14 months.
15.
15.
15 months. He turned 15 months last week.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
So,
No, go ahead.
okay.
Sweetie. Mhm.
So we know in marriage, like you mentioned about that first year, that conflict can arise. What do you do to, I guess, like put it out?
Come on here, let's talk.
You deal with the conflict when it arises.
To be honest with you, we're constantly learning. We're learning because at least I know for me, I'm constantly learning how to, I think I may have said this a while ago to somebody else, but I'm trying my best to constantly put a mirror on myself, no matter how angry I get with my wife and
So you do get angry.
listen. And
I say that for a reason. Yeah, but you do get yeah.
Absolutely. And it gets hot. You know, sometimes we throw things at each other and it's just like, okay, let's go to our corners. And a lot of times with me, it's like, okay, you go ahead and go on your trip. And when you get back, you know, and it's not that we sweeping it under the rug necessarily. It's more so that we both have time to reflect in our part, you know, and how we can kind of come back together if we meet. If we meet that issue again, how are we going to respond differently?
Yes.
You know, how can we come to an agreement better than we did last time? You know, so to answer your question, like we're constantly learning every day. You know, the great thing is certain ways that we've dealt with things 2 years ago, we're not dealing with it that way now.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so you're constantly seeing progress, and you know, yeah. Well,
I guess like what he said too, but I think a lot of it is our pride. So I'm having to learn to let down my pride, and I'll say, Lord, but I already apologized the last time. You know, Holy Spirit will be like, well, apologize. You're gonna have to. So I know a lot of the times it's just breaking that barrier with the conversation when we go silent, and you know, just go, I'm sorry, you know, or I didn't mean to say, or one thing that we've been trying to do, I do it more often. I go, can you hear me with your heart? And right away, he used to think it was cheesy, but he gets it now. Right, Jenny, fine. I just need you not to hear me here with your flesh or what was going on before, but like to literally hear me with your heart and understand where I'm coming from in the situation. So I think a lot of times it's us just letting go of our pride and our egos and being able to apologize first, even if we didn't feel we were the one wrong.
Yeah. Ego is a crazy thing, man. Yep.
Now, what's your background, Kara? What's your background?
My family's from Barbados, so I grew up on the island of Barbados.
What type of work do you do?
Right now, my 9 to 5 is I'm a medical biller, but my degree is in fashion marketing. So I do personal styling, closet organization, personal shopping. So that's more my passion is in clothing and fashion and stuff like that.
And I gotta big you up. She's not gonna do it. Well, my wife is now a web designer. She's in the process of building my website. I don't even know where this came from, but she just, yeah, I got it. I'll do it, and it's great. And she's also getting into some management stuff. So she's incredible. She's amazing. So
Let me ask this one question. I'm sorry, you had a question?
Go ahead.
Okay. You know, in every relationship, you have a positive, you have a negative.
Mhm.
Now, what I mean by that, you have an opposite attract.
Mhm.
So, which one of you? I would normally use the word dominant, but I'm going to say which one of you is more outspoken than the other? Yeah, I kind of figured that.
yeah,
Definitely. Yeah. It's just my personality.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
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 Well, how were you able to cope with that? What did you have to do in order to cope with that, David? Her personality, her dominant personality. Now, and when I say that, I don't mean that you're domineering.
Overbearing or, I
You're
understand.
disrespecting them, not respecting them, but
Yes.
that's your nature, like you said, your character.
Mhm.
Let's go.
Yeah,
You say what's on your mind, and you mean it when you say it.
for sure.
You're outspoken.
Yeah.
So how were you able to cope with that? What did you have to do in order to cope with that? Without
On a daily basis, I'm trying my best to, and I hope it's not sounding like we're trying to sound over the top spiritual, but it's the truth. Like I'm really like, all right, God, whoo, that almost took me out what she just said. So what do I say? It's the truth, and that's why I said we talking real. We talking real. And some days I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go down here. I'm gonna go. You know what? Let me go build a house right quick. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go build a house and I'll be right back. But to answer your question, I'm learning every day. I'm learning every day. I'm learning that, whether she's having a day or having a moment, sometimes I feel like that's a place that we're in currently. Like we're learning each other because I feel like it's a very transitional place for both of us right now. For her career wise, for things that she's doing, I feel like same thing with me with my career. I feel like we both have a lot of things happening on top of having Roman and trying to figure things out. Sometimes things can get heated and we get frustrated, but I try my best. I try my best to really take a step back, listen, or hear with my heart, as she says, to hear with my heart and respond accordingly. I've really been trying my best to build more of an authentic and strong prayer life, so that my response will be, more godly than just me, wanting to respond, to her in that moment. Because there's some moments where I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I give me a second. I gotta go. And the same thing with her, where she's just like, and I've noticed that about her too. We get on, both of us get on each other's nerves sometimes. So we go, you know what? I'm gonna go downstairs. I'll talk to you later.
right.
And I have to respect that. That's her saying, maybe 3 years or 2-3 years ago, she'd be like, nah, let's do it. I'm ready. Let's go. and now it's just more so, you know what? Let's pause there and we'll come back to this.
That's
So,
good.
yeah, so now I'm learning from that. I'm like, wow, that's big of her, because I know the fire that's already in her. She could go if she want, So
It's interesting because both of you are young. What, mid-30s?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. This is your first marriage.
Yes.
You've only been married for 3 years.
Mhm.
And right now it seems that you all have a better handle
Mm.
on marriage than a lot of folks who may be older and this may be in their second or third marriage.
Mhm.
But you all seem so grounded with exactly what you want out of your relationship.
Mm.
So one question, would you say that the counseling, the pre-counseling, marital counseling was essential to helping you to achieve that now?
Counseling and just making sure that God is always in the middle. That He's always in the middle, because if I'm gonna be transparent right now, if it was left up to either one of us, I
We
don't
would have
believe.
been,
Yeah, we would
yeah,
have stopped a long time ago.
along
We've
the first
been
year.
there.
Yeah.
We've been there where it's just like, yeah, this is not working. And go ahead.
You know, again, looking from the outside in, everybody would think that, man, y'all got it together.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, we figured it out every day.
But it's important though that other couples in relationships see that no, it's you got to work at what you want.
Yes.
Have to.
You know, you saying that, what I'm noticing, and even with they mentioned it, a lot of our last young couples have been saying the same thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They have been saying the same thing. It's work.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
You got to put some work in, put some time in.
Yeah.
But guess what? They kept God at the center.
Absolutely.
He was at the forefront.
Yeah.
That's so important.
Wow. Wow. So let me ask this. What's your trigger points for each other? What would be your trigger point? And what's your trigger point, Kara?
I know his. I might be able to say it's better.
Okay. You know what? That's a good way to phrase it.
That's a good way. I was going to say, yeah.
His trigger points.
Okay.
So David's trigger points, working on them and trying to get better because I do know them. This might seem minute, but he does not like when I hang up the phone without saying bye. He cannot handle that because generally, if I'm not saying bye, it's because I'm mad. Another trigger point is he doesn't like when I start a conversation and he gets into the conversation, but I don't like what he's saying. Oh, I'm good. It's okay.
Yeah.
Conversation done.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I know for a fact that he can't handle, not that he can't handle it, he does not enjoy it. Yeah. Where he's now into it, but because he's not saying what I was hoping he would say, and I don't say it mean or anything, and I think that's what annoys me more. I go, oh, okay, all right, done. And he goes, no, I know you have more. No, yeah. I'm done. That's
because
it.
you ever seen how, like, when you light a firework and you listening to it go,
yeah.
That's what that is for me, because I'm like,
you're
gonna light me up later. Because you gonna light me up when I'm, you know what? As a matter of fact, like, good morning. Wait a minute. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, a lot of her trigger points have to do with the great thing about her is I used to view it as being needy, and the truth is, she's not. She wants to know that I'm there when she needs me. So just little things like if she texts me something, respond, or like in a timely manner,
Yeah.
or if she's calling me, or she wants to just make sure that she has access to me, whenever she really needs to. The cool thing about her, she doesn't have like a ton of triggers, but the ones that matter, like something like that, those are bigger things that I have to make sure. I gotta make sure my phone ain't on silent if she's texting or calling me, because she wants to make sure that, God forbid, anything happens, that
I think one of them too, I'm starting to realize, is time management. So we're working on that now, especially with a child, where David can go in the drum room for like 4 or 5 hours. So I'll say, hey, okay, no problem. I know you need to work, but be out by 5:30.
Right, that's a big
6 o'clock comes, David's still in. 7 o'clock comes. So for me, that's a bit of a trigger, because it's like, I need you to put that aside, and now I need help.
Balance.
Yeah,
just balance.
Yeah, definitely balance what you're doing and where I need you, because I haven't bothered you the first 5 hours, and we agreed to 5:30. I even let you go to 6:30.
Mhm.
Why didn't you put on an alarm?
Mm-hmm.
Why wasn't it important enough for you to say, hey, Kara needs me to come out and get the baby ready for bed?
Right.
Or give him a bath, stuff like that, where I'm just like, that can be a little bit of a trigger for me, is his time management.
You know, and paying attention to things that need to get done without her saying
Oh
them.
yeah. Oh yeah.
You know,
That's good.
like the bottles have been there all day. Why do I have to come home from work and wash the bottles? So things like that I'm constantly every day, I'm trying my best to remember. Okay, and the funny thing is, I might feel like in my world, I got a tour prepare for, and I got 14 songs to learn by Friday. The first rehearsal is Friday. Guess what? All right, that's cool. Them bottles still need to get washed.
Put on your headphones, listen to music while
Roman
you're
still
cleaning
needs
the
a bath.
bottles. Yeah.
And I still need you to be out by 6 o'clock. You know what I mean? So, and the great thing about that is it's really forcing me to really get into time management.
Yeah.
Heavier. Really pay attention to making the time that I have available to work, make it more effective.
Yeah.
So that when it's time for me to get out of there, I feel like I got something done rather than being in there 4 or 5 hours, you know, and it's really been good. Again, it's a daily thing that I'm working on. So if I walk past that sink, I'm like, okay, let me get those done before she see them.
We got 2 more questions. We got 2 more questions because I want to go back to what we had started out with in the beginning. I would say that over the past, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe the past 2 years, David, you have became a highly sought after musician.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
So one question, are there gigs you say no to?
Yes.
And number 2, Kara, how do you handle that though?
Like we were saying in the very beginning, it's a lot of sacrifices, where I have to understand, in the juvenile sense, in the flesh, it's like, we need the money, you know. I want to get my hair done. I need my, you know. So that's what he says. He goes, you want your nails done, right? Let me, so little things like that. I'll go, fine, okay, you know. But then in the other sense of it, we're understanding once again that this is his purpose. And like you first asked, there are some gifts he says no to, but he doesn't say no because of me. We'll have a discussion and I'll say, but that's not your worth. And those are more the gigs he'll say no to, especially starting this year, where I'll say to him, that's not what you're worth. We're going to have to pass this up and allow the Lord to give you something else to fill in that money that we know we needed. So a lot of the times the no's aren't necessarily, oh, because I said to him, I need you home. That's not how it works. Right. I can't tell him or demand of him when he needs to be home if it's not a dire need. So if I'm just feeling, oh gosh, I haven't seen you all week, I'm not going to say, don't take that gig. That's not how it works out at all. He just knows that once he has some downtime, it's now me and Roman like this. But the no's to the gigs aren't, I feel like a lot of the times, not a lot, most of the times, some of the people who ask him for the gift thinks it's because of me.
Right.
They think it's because his wife said no. I said no because it wasn't worth what he's worth. The time that he's going to take to go into the drum room and learn this music, him showing up on time to rehearsals, him traveling out and leaving his family. No, $1.50, $100. That's not going to be worth it because he puts in so much time and effort. We need to see it. It needs to make sense.
Yes.
And that's what I keep telling him. It has to make sense, babe, because you don't come into these gigs half-stepping. You come in knowing the music, you get there on time, you don't miss your flight, you don't argue and quarrel. You come in and you do your job. The money needs to reflect who you are.
I would say, not to cut you off, the last 5 years have been such an epiphany in terms of self-worth.
Yeah.
And I have to absolutely say that's because of my wife. She's been such a person that is on the inside looking in.
Yeah.
She's just like, I'm watching the work that you do, and that what they paying you ain't no.
Right.
You know, and so what I've kind of gained from really learning my worth and what to demand has been so important to the trajectory of my
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
Because I'm also learning that my no's are more opportunities than anything. They're opportunities to spend time with my family, but they're also opportunities for me to allow God to bring in better opportunities.
Yes.
Career wise, and the truth is that's exactly what has happened. The more I've said no, bigger things have come in, and bigger contracts or bigger situations have come in. So, I owe so much of that to her, because she's really pushed me. And even in terms of not just my career, people and relationships, and she's been super instrumental. And I'll be honest, I've been prideful about that stuff in the past. I'm like, man, I was doing this before I knew you. And not really taking a spiritual step back and looking at what she's saying. Like, I have to admit that a lot of times our wives can really be the voice of God speaking.
Absolutely.
And it's up to you to really allow yourself to listen and hear with your heart if you really want God to really bless you and move you in the direction that you need. Because there are a lot of times where I was just looking at her like, you don't know what you're talking about, this how it's always been, this how it needs to be done. And she's just like, yeah, no. And the more go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, it sounds like, man, this calls for another show, because there's some things I'm listening to you talk, but we don't have time right now. But I think my wife got one more question she wants to ask you.
Okay.
What's your love language?
Ooh.
You want me to say mine, or you want him to say mine?
You can start, Kara.
So mine for sure is quality time. Yeah. So that's why sometimes the balance is very much necessary. And it's not quality time, let's go out and discover this. It's literally, oh, you want to catch up on a show, or just sit next to me. So I know for sure quality time and touch.
It's interesting because they're kind of becoming intertwined. I like hanging out with the family too now. Like, it's just really sitting down. My favorite thing is just sitting down in the bed. Those are I don't even know if I tell her that. Like, late at night when it's just like the three of us watching TV, those are some of the best times for me. Our son may be just sleeping. She might be on her phone, but we sitting there watching TV. We might talk, we might not. But if it feels like home. For me, so that's a big love language for me.
And yours is words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation too.
Definitely.
I would say that. I don't know if that was a thing in the past, but it's definitely something now where I love to hear that the hard work that you're putting in, that it's appreciated.
Awesome.
This hour is not long enough, because I'm listening to you all. I have so many questions that I can be asking right now, but it's that time has come. Hopefully, in the future, we can get you all to come back.
Yes.
I'm just, if only I tell you. Well, let me say it this way. I'm so proud of you all. I am so proud of you all. And the work that you're putting in your relationship, in your marriage. I want to thank you, Kara, for looking after my son. He's definitely a jewel, a genuine young man.
For sure.
And I know you're happy. I know you're proud. And Roman couldn't have a better father.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, for sure.
So
love you, Dad.
Love you, son. Yeah. We've had some very trying times, but he hung in there. He's been tested now.
Oh, listen, I'm telling people these stories while I'm teaching at school.
I grew up here, Uncle Lionel. I didn't think Uncle Lionel did not like me, but I know he loves me. And that's all day. And I'll go, what happened? What did you do? When he would tell me, I'll go, oh.
Traumatized. childhood ties. But I still love you, man. Remember that time you made me run? We was in somewhere in Tampa. Well, I don't know where we was at, but you was like, "You ain't playing my drums tonight." Like, these ain't your drums, these my drums.
Yeah, I told her, I said, I'm gonna play the bass and the drums tonight. Watch me.
I remember I ran off that stage and ran to my mama crying. He's like, "Yep." And he looking at my mom like, "Yup, that's exactly what I said. He ain't playing my drums tonight." I said, "Mom, why he don't like me, mama?"
But you know, I
Love
mean,
you, man. Thank you for everything that you've done for me and my family. You've taught me not just lessons in music, but as you know, how to grow as a man and how to have the discipline to be a man. So I appreciate you.
well, the pleasure's
That's
mine,
awesome.
definitely. And I guess you can say, just watching you live your life in the capacity in which that you are living it, I look at that as reciprocation. Yeah,
Yes.
you know, back to the times and everything. Just being that part of your life, man. I'll tell you.
We have one listener or viewer here says tough love.
Yep.
Yeah,
Tough
and it
love.
worked. It worked.
Absolutely. Yeah. The unfortunate thing is, a lot of that stuff won't fly nowadays. A lot of these
No.
Correct.
Yeah.
but they don't realize the core that you were building
Yes.
was so pivotal and like everything. I keep telling people the stuff you were teaching me back then, a lot of it wasn't music. It was life.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of what you were teaching me was just discipline and life. And it took
Right.
me into so many different directions that made me who I am today. So yeah, I'm still waiting on you to start that school. So y'all heard it on here first. You see I'm in the camera?
Yeah.
So a little joke. So David, you had your own Mr. Miyagi.
Oh yeah. I told somebody that the other day. I told somebody that in the lesson. That's who you are. Wax on, wax off.
Wow. Mr. D Shiv. Wow, man. That's a first. That's a first. Yeah, well, we got to get out of here, though. Hey, listen, the beautiful interview. We thank you for sharing your transparency and everything. Hey, much love to you all. And we'll be talking, Mr. Shiv.
Yes,
and
sir.
we'll definitely be talking, okay?
Sure.
And with Miss Kara.
And with Miss Kara.
We want you all to come back. You all drop some golden nuggets.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So we'll reach out later.
Of course. Anytime. Thanks for having us.
All right.
Y'all have a great one now. Thank you.
Wow. That was awesome.
That's all I can say.
Awesome.
That's all I can say, man.
I loved it.
Yeah. I'm sure our viewers did too. So listen, if you are watching YouTube, please like, comment, share. If you like what we're doing here, hey, how about support by subscribing to the channel? And we're going to continue to do this until, God say otherwise. But hey.
But I think it's so vitally important. Share the love. Talk about the love.
Yeah.
Don't just argue and fuss and fight. No. Let's see how we can make our love better.
That's it.
Stronger.
Yeah. Like we've shared, we've had some differences.
Correct. Oh, listen.
We've had some differences, but yet, I always look for a teaching moment out of it, out of any conflict and all conflict.
Definitely.
So, but yeah, it requires work.
It does.
Marriage requires work.
It does.
There's no such thing as autopilot in marriage. Y'all can tell some of y'all heard that here.
Exactly.
Hey, sweetie.
Yes.
Another one down. We'll see you all next week. Next week, Sunday. Okay. Hey, God bless. We love you. Thank you.